Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I got to throw it on over to my co-hostess with the mostest, Big O. Happy Monday, Big O. What's going on with you?
Yeah, but before you throw it over to me, man, how was your weekend?
You know what? My weekend was great. I mean, clearly, I think a lot of us in this nation breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe some didn't, but ultimately, I had an amazing weekend. How about you, my friend?
It was active as usual. You know what I'm saying? Of course, lots of big news on the national front with elections and everything else. But we're getting through it. We're getting through it day by day. But before we jump into everything, you said that some people breathed a sigh of relief, some people didn't. What did you? Did you breathe a sigh of relief, or you're one of the people that didn't?
Well, yeah, I did. I breathed a bit of a sigh of relief. I think for a lot of us in community, we know the work still continues, right? But yeah, a bit of a sigh of relief for me this weekend.
Yeah, for me, we'll get into it. It's like, this is a hyper local show. Fortunately for us, we get a lot of viewers beyond our neighborhood and across the city of Seattle and the region. And so, I got a few things to say about how our electeds reacted this weekend. We'll hop into that. But let's start at the top of the story right here. President-elect Joseph Biden, well, he said that black folks helped get him over the finish line.
I made it, especially those moments. And especially those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African-American community stood up again for me. You always have my back, and I'll have yours.
All right. President-elect Biden right there says that the black community has always had his back, and he's going to have ours. Any thoughts on that, Trey?
Well, I did spend some time doing a bit of what you do, and I read his entire plan this weekend, so I can understand a bit about what he is aiming to do specifically for the Black community. I think a lot of electeds have come in with a message of hope for the Black community, and unfortunately, the needle has not been moved much. So I will say this. I do think that there are some points in this plan that really are about directing equity in this country and balancing some scales. But it does feel like there's going to be some room for community and public voice to still continue to press.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not impressed. Well, we'll see what happens. But a lot of times it's business as usual. Most people have a plan for black. Barack Obama had a plan for black community. You know what I'm saying? Bill Clinton, Bubba, he had a plan for the black community. And somehow we find ourselves right here. So, man, we'll see. People having plans and people executing plans is something totally different. But yeah, I'm not. I wasn't sold on that. I think he was sincere in his thank you though, because Biden was dead in the water. He was dead in the water going into South Carolina. In Claiborne, he rallied all the black folks like, man, get out and support. And that changed the whole trajectory of Biden. So it's like it's real deal when he's talking about black people helped get him there 100%. Like, man, nobody even checking for Biden until he went down to South Carolina. So
absolutely.
We'll see if those thank yous are just in photo ops or if they're in actual action. Kamala Harris, first vice president-elect black woman, Southeast Asian woman, is a historic moment for women everywhere, for people of color everywhere. Here's a short snippet from her.
Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy.
Treyana, one of those black women who are often overlooked and the backbone of our democracy.
Well, you know what? It's been said many, many times. We heard it so much this weekend. I think there has been a real particular interest in how Black women really move in their communities. And what I've been saying to people is this, that it really boils down to the fact that I think so many of us naturally are nurturers. We do care for our communities and we do want to see some real change. I think voting is one way. But again, we saw lots of Black women across this country really pulling for these votes in this election.
All right. I mean, definitely, a historic moment. I have two Black daughters who thought that, of course, this was a big deal. My kids, they're like, man, what's next? To be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, my daughter 5 years ago, actually, last week, she won the ACLU Youth Activist Award. 5 years ago. So somebody like my daughter, Acacia, she's like, yeah, okay, this is great, but what's next? Yeah. What's actually going to happen? I mean, and it's good to see somebody as young as her isn't caught up in the euphoria. I mean, this is great. This is historic. But you know what? I'm just feeling some kind of way today, man.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right, though. I think, but before you even say it, I think you're absolutely right. Again, what we have seen, and we talked about it on this platform many times, is that the numbers don't change for the Black community. It doesn't matter who's in office. So again, folks in the Black community are right to be in this way. Just where Acacia is, that is really where we all should be. What's next? And let's continue to press.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, and you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna just break it down here. Trey Holiday is like decade after decade. Liberal Democrats here, Washington State, they've overseen the constant decline of Black people in this city. Democrats have run City Hall for 30 years. Trey Holiday. By the time Governor Inslee's term expires, Democrats would have been in the State House for 4 decades. Our Democratic lawmakers here, they speak with empathy, but they act with malice, Trey. We hear these words every election season, how they feel our pain, but it's the very same system that these Democrats have in many cases weaponized against our community that causes the very pain that they claim to feel and understand. You got to remember, the liberal Democrats here have a long timeline of working against the best interests of our community in Seattle. From Operation Weed and Seed to the upzoning, which is taxing our elders out of their homes, like Ruby Holland. You somehow, the liberal Democrats here always find the resources to treat the symptoms, but they never manage to find the courage to cure the disease. I'm telling you, Trey. So, I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry if I don't join in the overwhelming jubilation at this historic moment, because unfortunately, history in our city, the Emerald City, has proven time and again that these momentous milestones continue to pass over the Black community in Seattle. And not only do things not change for us, they actually worsen. So while others celebrate, we Black folk are still here looking forward to a ginormous income gap, a rapid decline in Black home ownership and generational wealth, and a school system that's failing our children, 100%. So, I mean, Trey, I say to all the elected officials who we see out there celebrating on their social media, dancing and everything on their social media about projected Biden victory, all these local lawmakers here in Seattle, King County, in the state of Washington, y'all need to ask yourselves, what's your legacy going to be as a lawmaker and as a Democrat? Will you just be another one who wants the decline of Black people and culture in the Emerald City on your watch, while you praise the virtues of liberalism and turn a blind eye to our neighborhood? My challenge to you, elected officials, you Democrat lawmakers from the city of Seattle, King County, the State House, keep this same energy. This energy you got, keep this same energy, and you finally make a difference in our community. I'm keeping an eye on what's happening here locally, Trey, because everybody's going to sit here and get all whatever about this national stuff, and people are crying. They're like, oh, my God, the change is coming. That's because you people see a change. You get a change. Don't nothing change for us. You know what I'm saying? Man, where's this happening from Jake Gravbride? I mean, this was nice. People were up there on Capitol Hill, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking nobody who's celebrating or anything. I'm not the Grinch who stole the election. But you got to understand, in the Central District, in the Black community here, we've never saw this change. And all it is for us is a moral victory. That's what we get. We get a moral victory in our neighborhood. We don't get no real victories. It's these same people who are in power right now that weaponized all these policies against black people decade after decade after decade. And now they jiving in the streets. They're so happy. What are you going to do for black people?
You know what?
What are you going to do?
This. You know, oh, you are on fire and right to be so. I'll say this. This is why my work is directly connected to community, and it's in the streets. It's on the ground. In the political sphere, what ends up happening is that you get caught in a cacophony, a bubble of bureaucracy and of, unfortunately, hypocrisy. We have seen this time and time again, decade after decade, generation after generation. And I think this is why I'm saying it's a bit of a sigh of relief. Again, people that are really out here working on solutions on the ground, they're not stopping. We can sit there and say, all right, and let's keep going, right? We can shake our fist one time and keep our feet to the ground, because you are right. At the end of the day, no elected officials, especially at the federal level, have really looked at balancing the scales in this country on a wide scale basis so that there really is equity for black people in this country. And I will say this, after reading that plan from Joe Biden, the fact that there is no direct investment to black families who are literally ancestors of slaves from the Atlantic slave trade, that there's no direct investment in their lives and in their futures, that is an issue for me. And the fact that there's always, unfortunately, what we talk about, these, they feel like we're making these incremental changes and we're going to put these task force in place and we're going to put this policy in place and we're going to put this department over here to, move the resources into community. That does not hit our community. So again, I think, there's a lot of stuff in this plan that people that are on the ground are going to have to push for, because you are right, these changes don't always affect our communities in the best ways, period.
Man, let me tell you something, Trey Holiday. Everybody wants to sit here and talk about Biden and how Biden signed the crime bill. People in Seattle don't forget about Rice, Mayor Rice, and Weed and Seed. You see what I'm saying? Seattle always wants to look to somewhere else what somebody else did. What about Weed and Seed that came from a Democratic city hall, from a liberal city hall? What about some of these tax schemes that come out there that's taxing out our elders that come from the Democratic city hall? Like I said, the governor, when Inslee leaves, 40 years they've been in power. 40 years. That means Democrats have oversaw the constant and rapid decline of black people in this state. 30 years, City Hall's been in Democrat hands. So now people are, hey, we want a White House, this and that. But man, what have you done? What have you done? You've never not been in power almost my whole lifetime. You got to go in the city of Seattle. You got to go all the way back to Mayor Charlie Royer. You know what I'm saying? But before, this is all the Democrats have been in power here. You've been in power. What have you done? What have you done for us? But you've overseen the decline. You weaponized these policies against us. The Republicans didn't come in here and weaponize these things against us. You, the Democrats, the liberals, white, black, BIPOC, you guys have sat there in City Hall, in the county council, and in the state house, and you created policies that have worked against us. You, like I said, people, they're putting resources around symptoms, but none of these electeds have the courage to get the cure.
Period. And I will say this. I'm sorry. I think you're on fire. And I think both of us are feeling the very same sentiment, because as I watched all of these people celebrating this weekend and I sat in my house, I just thought to myself, wow, we really are so swayed as a nation to think that now all of a sudden all of these issues that we've been seeing for the last 4 years are going to be swept under the rug. They are not. And ultimately, these are the minds of Americans. These are the ideals that they spew to future generations, to their children. And ultimately, what you're talking about is another subset of colonial rule. It goes beyond liberal or Republican. At the end of the day, there is a mindset here that, hey, I know what's best for these people. And that mindset, that colonialist mindset, needs to be uprooted, because that is what so much of our American systems are built on. And we are realizing that it did not mean equity for all. We see how they have done this and how they've been savage in that colonial mindset. We really need to uproot that out of the system, because that goes across Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter. It's the ideal. I'm with you on that.
I'll be honest with you. It's an old gospel song. It says, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. All these elected officials here in the city of Seattle, King County, the state of Washington, you know what I'm saying? It's good. You guys, like I said, you're dancing and celebrating on your social media. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. Come to the Central District. Come to the South End. You know what I'm saying? Keep that same energy and celebrate real victories that are sustainable. Stop coming to our neighborhood and celebrating that you're treating symptoms. Come to our neighborhood, Jay Inslee. Come Dow Constantine, Mayor Durkin, City Council. Take that same energy you got and celebrate that you're finding cures. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what you've been getting. That's what they've gotten away with for decades. We're going to put some little resource here and put a little Band-Aid on this problem for them black folks over there. While at the same time weaponizing the system against us. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going for the okie doke. So if you thought we was going to sit here today and be like, oh, well, man, you know, Biden, D.C., our issues are right here. 98144, 98122, 98118. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, let's talk about these. You guys aren't going to shift the conversation to Washington, D.C. City Council, you're not shifting the conversation. Mayor's office, you're not shifting. Constantine, you're not shifting. Inslee, you're not shifting. If anything, like I said, there's a hyper local show and we keeping it local today. We keeping our eye on our neighborhood and ain't none of these elected officials. Like I said, keep that same energy. You know, y'all man, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you know what? And I will say this, at the end of the day, too, it can't be surface level. We've seen the surface level. When you're asking them and demanding them to keep that same energy, it's because we've seen that energy wane through the course of their political career. We have seen when they have the positions of authority and power, unfortunately, what happens is these slow moving moves to try to bring about some equity, and ultimately it doesn't do anything. Again, when we look at the statistics, we keep seeing these declines. We have to address that locally. We have to be on the ground fighting for solutions. And this is why I will always encourage people out there to utilize your voice, because you do matter, and everything that you feel is needed in your community is real. That is a real need. Use your voice and speak up, because you're right. We got to actually continue to press. We can't actually be thinking that this national election is going to really bring these direct investments into our community. We have to press, and we have to press locally.
And I'm going to say this, and I want this to sear into people's minds. I want them to understand this. Democrats have held the State House in Olympia, where by the time Governor Inslee is out of office, for 40 years. Democrats have held the mayor's office for 30 years. The city council, county council, man, they ain't got nobody to blame but themselves. You see what I'm saying? It's easy. This is a distraction game. They've been in power for decades. And for decades, they've oversaw it. They saw this, Trey. A lot of these guys, they passed this legislation that impacted our community. They supported these policies that impacted our community. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just letting people know, we got an eye on you. All you elected officials out there doing that happy dance, come on. Let's make a real change in the Central District, in the South End. Bring that same energy there. You know what I'm saying? Stop treating the symptoms, cure the disease, and bring them social media happy dances over there to the CD in the South End, because you know you would have made sustainable change for black people.
Yeah, period. I love that you're encouraging them to do this. Oh, and I will tell you this, my friend, you are 100% on point. Both of us are, because we know, again, as Black people, we don't get to change our lived experience based on who is in power. So ultimately, all of the things that our community face, all the things that we face as Black people in this country, will continue to face them. And I want to ask everybody, please wake up. Don't be in this euphoric state thinking that, yes, Kamala is going to change everything, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be up to you.
Yeah, and I'm not looking to Kamala or Biden to change something. I'm looking for 9 city council members. I'm looking for Mayor Durkin. I'm looking for the King County Council and King County Executive, Constantine. I'm looking for the state legislature, and I'm looking for Governor Jay Inslee. I'm starting local first. You guys can start national. I'm starting local first, because we got an exact location where we want to see change at. Trey Holiday, we're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, we got more headlines, and we're also joined by the youngster Nikki Barron, you're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
bulshada iyo baqaaraha.
My community, my clinic.
Hey, what's up? Omari Salisbury here with the reminder I'll be talking with Joyce Taylor from King 5 later this month. It's an online fundraiser for the Seattle Association of Black Journalists called Black Voices Matter. Behind the Lines with me, Omari Salisbury. We're going to talk about inspiration, covering the demands for change in Seattle, and what that looks like for journalists going forward. It's Saturday, November 14th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Tickets are only $10, $5 for students, and you can find that link by checking out whereweconverge.com and on our social media at WWConverge on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you want to learn more about the SABJ, which you should, head to sabjonline.com.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
And I am Trey Holiday.
Yay, holiday. Man, unfortunately, some bad news up on Capitol Hill. Saturday night, Sunday morning, someone was shot and killed right over there in front of Numos. Not a lot of details being released right now. We know the victim and the victim's name, but it hasn't been released to the public as of yet. So we're not going to say his name here. Here's a short clip this morning from Como 4.
Right here where that shooting happened at 10th and East Pike. Those celebrations were going well into the night. We were down here until around 11:30 or so. And then that shooting happened at about 1 o'clock this morning. What we don't yet know is if that man or that shooter were tied in any way to that party, as this investigation is just getting started. On a blustery morning, crime scene tape is still tied up. Pieces of it scattered around Capitol Hill, where a 31-year-old man was shot and killed overnight at 10th and East Pike.
There's another murder up there, Capitol Hill.
This is why I think talking about issues locally and pressing is so important. Again, we cannot deny the fact that there are real issues on the ground. I mean, as people are trying to celebrate, this breaks out. I can't wait to hear more details. And you know what? Sending all the love to the family of the victim. I mean, once again, I always think about the families that are left in the lurch here. Trying to get trying to get details and, going through that rigmarole where now they may have to wait for a long time to understand what really happened to their loved one. And, it always takes me there. Just sending them some love.
All right. King 5 last night, they aired a segment. Actually had your organization highlighted in there, the Africatown Community Land Trust, KY King Garrett, talking about some of ACLT's work. Here's a short clip right here. And of course, you can go to King 5's website to check out the whole segment.
The section of Seattle south of downtown, the Black community has called home for 140 years.
Innovation, creativity, entrepreneurial spirit, all of that making a way out of no way is 100% part of the Black experience, the African experience in America.
But those garages, those basements, all those spaces, they're being priced out. For decades, the Central District has been under attack by so-called economic development policies. Rising rents and rising house prices have been pushing Black families and Black businesses out, and that creates financial instability.
Anything needs space to exist. Our goal is to acquire, develop, maintain a space where our community can grow and thrive.
KY King Garrett is the president and CEO of Africatown Community Land Trust, a group dedicated to acquiring land in the Central District to expand access to prosperity for the Black community.
All right. ACLT highlighted there on Face and Race. King 5, like I said, people can watch you go to king5.com, can see the full segment there. Were you around for that taping?
No, you know what? I was in the back. I was actually doing another taping in the back. I mean, we're so busy now, doing so many things and trying to make sure that the community is informed. But I think that they did a great job. Shout out to King 5 for this Facing Race, special programming. I think they did a great job. And I think anybody who is trying to understand the special characteristics around Seattle in particular with land, please watch this. It was a great piece. And I'm glad that they actually recognize that the Central District and the work of Africatown Community Land Trust is pivotal to now, land and justice with land.
I got some news for you, Trey Holiday.
Hey, what?
And some news for our viewers. This is good news too.
Uh-oh.
Guess what?
What?
Guess where we're gonna be next? Guess where you'll be next week?
Please tell me now.
Bringing the show back, man. Right here to the studio. This finally. I mean, it was quite a lift to be able to get all the technology in place to be able to broadcast from this building. We're here in Pioneer Square, and previously we had a lot of failures, and we were just trying to figure it out. And so we went to this format right here until we figured it all out. And so next Monday, I'll be happy to see you again in person back here in our studios.
That makes me so excited, honestly. Shout out to all of you over there who've been working to make this happen. I know it took the work of many, and I'm so thankful. Also, thankful that, we were able to find a solution so we could continue our messaging to the public. I know you were not going to have it any other way.
Come on, man. You got to do what you can with what you have. We ain't stopping. Some other news here real quick, and then we'll bring in Nikki. She has a few headlines for us. Is former Seahawk Marcus Trufant and his wife Jessica, they launched a podcast called Truly Unruly. And it's really dope. These guys, they have a great vibe. And starting this Sunday at 8:00, we'll be carrying Truly Unruly. And Marcus and Jessica Trufant, they're going to join us tomorrow on the Morning Update Show. We also got Fire Chief Scoggins tomorrow on the Morning Update Show. It's going to be a great show. Here's a small clip from Truly Unruly. And like I said, Marcus and Jessica Trufant, they'll be joining us here live tomorrow.
And then I ended up having to spend the night at his house.
Oh, how'd that go?
Okay,
I'm number one. Right?
First night, number one.
Oh, please. Woo. No, it did not go like that.
My man.
My friend was too drunk to drive me home, and she was also with another person. So it was time to go to bed. All of his rooms are full of crap in his house. And he's like, well, you can sleep in my room. And I'm like, oh God. Okay. Put pillows down the middle, draw a line. And I'm like, do not touch me. And he was like, such a gentleman. He's like, okay. And so then the next morning I woke up, he was already gone, off to practice. Did I brush my teeth with your toothbrush? No, I don't think so.
No, I hope not.
Maybe.
I didn't even know you did.
Right. I might have, maybe not.
The disrespect.
Right?
So Marcus and Jessica Trufant, Truly Unruly. And, it fits right here on Converge as we continue our mission to uplift voices in our community.
Man, shout out to Converge, all of the amazing things, amazing programming and shows happening. Again, really spotlighting that Seattle has some amazing creative talent. I've been saying it for a long time. So I'm loving that now we're really seeing the explosion of it come through to life. It's beautiful.
Yep, big shout out to Kels over there at 92.5. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be dope. We're going to take a short break. It looks like Nikki Barron is ready. We got a few more local headlines. You are watching the Morning Update Show. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Joined by the kiddo. What's up, Nikki?
Oh, not too much. I was vibing to that beat.
Yeah, I know that bass was hitting.
I know the bass hit right at the end. I was like, yeah.
What you got for us today?
So I have the first story kind of similar to what you guys talked about earlier with the Africatown Community Land Trust. And that is a story of two stories of gentrification on the South End. So the first one here is about something that's happening in the CD. And there's been a call for action to help stop disaster gentrification in the Chinatown International District. Apparently, City Council passed or voted to pass some protections to keep development from moving forward during COVID because they're not able to go and have the community speak to their concerns. So, but for some reason, that's moving forward anyway. So this is not something I am an expert in, but our resident gentrification expert, Trina Holiday, is here. So Trey, can you tell me what exactly disaster gentrification is?
Yeah, so disaster gentrification really it models from where private and public sector companies come in to take advantage of particular disasters that happen. Maybe it's a natural disaster, something like the pandemic, COVID-19, where you have a lot of people who are having financial unrest and are looking to maybe do something maybe with their home. And so there are for-profit developers that come in and say, look, we realize that people are in a financial hardship right now. And so it gives us an opportunity to take advantage of that financial hardship and buy up major plots of land. And that's really what disaster gentrification is all about. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, there was an article, that we wrote some months ago, right when COVID had first started, in Dan Beekman in Seattle Times. They expanded upon it in a great way. That there were developers that were out there sending letters to elders in our community, Ruby Holland being one of them, kind of like, trying to take advantage of the situation around COVID and everything else and trying to get them out their home. That's on the one-on-one kind of level, right? And then like on the larger level, it's true. If the community can't really be involved, they halted a lot of this stuff so the community could be heard around developments, especially in impacted neighborhoods like the International District, formerly known as Chinatown. That's a historic district. It's a highly cultural district and some of everything else. And Seattle there just has been gentrification as a whole, and disaster gentrification is just another layer on top.
Yeah. So, sorry, Trey. I was going to say Origin 206, which is the project that I'm talking about here. They're trying to say that because the application was considered complete, they didn't have to take public comment, and they also made changes to the application after the pandemic. So what was supposed to be affordable condo units actually switched over to market rate apartments. Do either of you guys know much about this Origin 206?
Yeah,
I don't know about Origin 206, but that's that sounds about right. Exactly. It's what's been happening. That's the old normal, as you'd say.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say, honestly, you guys, is that this is really indicative of what so many community members really face. And when you understand that all of these kind of hidden tactics and techniques are happening behind the scenes, and unfortunately they just slide through certain review boards or review guidelines, this is why so many on the ground are fighting against these things. If it weren't for malpractice, you may not have as many nonprofit community organizations than you do in Seattle, because I think so many people realize that, wait a minute, we actually have to fight against a lot of these things that are unknown to the public.
Yeah, and in certain neighborhoods, you would think that people would tread a little bit lighter and a little bit more sensitivity when you're talking about development in the Central District, in the International District, a neighborhood like Ballard, things like that. But it's not uncommon, to see this. And best thing is, I think I saw director neighborhoods on there, and Andreas. So maybe we can talk to the director of neighborhoods for the city of Seattle and really get their position. I know that Andreas is really big in community feedback and in keeping neighborhoods whole. So let's see what the city has to say.
Yeah, so community feedback is hard right now. I mean, a lot of people are citing that the technology to actually do community feedback is lacking. You know, a lot of low-income people and elders just aren't internet savvy and don't have access to fast broadband to even give community feedback. So even if they are opening it up to talk to people, it's just not a format that seems to be working.
Hey, but you know what though? Our elders been getting stuff by mail for years. They could man, hold on. You see, where there's a will, there's a way. So just because it's not convenient doesn't mean it cannot be done. So just because it's not, Big Mama and them might not be on Zoom, but guess what? Big Mama be opening her mail, So maybe they have to get feedback through the U.S. Postal Service. But man, you cannot just discount feedback all of a sudden because, we might not have broadband or we might not have this. No, you know what I'm saying? Just because something is hard doesn't make it impossible.
Agreed.
Well, I think too, being on the ground, I was just hosting some community engagement sessions for the Garfield Superblock project. And you are right in terms of just getting people to either log on. I think you're right, too, that we need to do different measures. And honestly, that we need to think about the timelines. Unfortunately, what ends up happening with regard to a lot of these community engagement sessions and development projects is that you have a certain window of time to try to get those in, to try to get all that community voice put into your project. And that, I think, is also a part of the issue. If we were to expand it like O is suggesting here and open it up to the mail, that might actually be the way to do it, but they would need to change the timelines on the back end. And one more thing I want to say is that disaster gentrification is not only relegated to private companies. Let's think about large department agencies, city agencies, governmental agencies that also buy up land during disaster gentrification periods, like Sound Transit right now, that has a bunch of plots of land throughout King County that are underutilized because they're just waiting for that high bid to come in. And so this is not just the work of, private developers or folks seeking money. This is also something that is kind of at a governmental level. So I just wanted to say those two things because I think you're right. We need to change the way that we try to reach our community so that we can make sure that they're a part of these development projects. But in this one in particular, you guys, let's be real, they didn't want to hear from community.
Man, and here's the thing is I should have worn my no excuses shirt today because there's no excuse. Just, okay, that's fine. Like, hey, someone can't meet in person in a meeting and they don't have Zoom. Guess what? Our elders have been using IVR. You know what IVR is? It's basically when you call a phone number and it's like, hey, if you want this, press 2, or you can say or spell you whatever, or say this or that. That's called IVR technology. Been around. Guess what a lot of our elders do? Man, they might call a Social Security office. They're talking to IVR initially. You know what I'm saying? Even when you call the doctor's office, it's IVR. It's very rare that you call anything these days in the service industry that you don't get IVR. So that's one right there. If you want to give feedback on a development, here's a phone number, and it talks you through how you can use your feedback. First of all, do you agree or disagree? Press 1 or press 2. You know what I'm saying? Second of all, they can say, hey, you have 3 minutes from the beep to say, what do you think about this feedback here? Well, I like this building or I don't like this building. You see, where there's a will, there's a way, guys. You know what I'm saying? You could use the phone and you could use the mail. So it really comes down to what's the willingness for people to actually want to hear from community.
Definitely. Yeah. And my another headline I found, which really made me sad because I've been to this place quite a few times, is Randy's is closing. So this is a story from our friends over at Vanishing Seattle. And after 40 years, the Randy's restaurant on Marginal Way, kind of down towards the airport, Boeing Field, is going to be closing. And we only have until November 15th to get in there.
And what day is it called? November 15th?
November 15th is the day they're closing.
And I remember going to Randy's too.
Yeah. So they're actually, they've been giving back some of the memorabilia because it's not just a restaurant. It's definitely like a service member and airplane Boeing museum. So if you've ever been in there, it's just like every inch of the place is covered in airplanes and medals and things. So a lot of that stuff had been on loan to them. So they've been working on returning a lot of that stuff. But they'll also be selling a lot of the memorabilia, including things like the iconic peach colored booths and stuff, because they're actually going to be demolishing the building. So anything that's left in there will just be ruined. So yeah, I was really bummed to see that, because it's just a classic spot, and there's not a lot of 24-hour spots in Seattle. So I can only think of a handful. So yeah, that was a bummer to see.
Want to encourage people to follow Vanishing Seattle on Instagram and also on their website. We had Cynthia Brothers and Martin Tram joined us last week. I think we're going to look forward to doing some more things with them, because, man, Seattle's literally vanishing. What else you got for us, Nikki?
Yeah, so I had two sad ones, so I had to give it some balance with a good one. So my next story is coming out for Thanksgiving, and it's this new platform called Chip In, which is a way to support local nonprofits. And they're doing a fundraiser to get 1,000 turkeys for families in Federal Way. So Chip In is actually the brainchild of Gerald Smiley, who's from Rainier Beach. And I'm not a sports person, so but I am from Texas, so I appreciate that he is actually a former Texas Ranger. And he's partnered with a couple other people from the sports industry, former Mariner Mark McLemore, how you say his name, to launch this platform to try to help support smaller nonprofits and smaller campaigns. You can head to their website and actually see all the different campaigns that they have that you can support. But the big one they're pushing for is 1,000 turkeys for families in Federal Way. It was actually a shocking statistic. 67% of students in Federal Way are actually on free or reduced lunch. So I think this is going to be a huge help for those people. 67% of students.
Wow.
Yeah, so over half of the students in the Federal Way School District are getting free or reduced lunch. So, and with a lot of them not going into school right now, there's a lot of food insecurity for those families. So if you've got the money, go and chip in. I'm going to put the link here so you guys can see exactly where you can go and chip in and try to get 1,000 turkeys and help some people have a nice Thanksgiving.
I love that you did this. And let me just say, I'm out here in Federal Way, and when you talk about that statistic, immediately what is wrecking in my mind is the fact that so many of these families and the population that really make up Federal Way were displaced families from Seattle. Let's not forget that. And so again, when you talk about certain pockets of poverty kind of moving throughout the county, that is one of the things that we have seen in terms of that wave of so many Black families, Black and brown families coming into South King County. And it definitely is something that is felt here in the city of Federal Way for sure.
Definitely, because you live down south too. Oh, I saw a little one over there popping in to say hi.
He has his suit on today. He wanted to show you guys his suit.
Oh, looking fresh. Okay.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
Yeah, another positive to end my segments. Perfect.
There we go.
All right. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, it's an opportunity to give thanks. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate. And subscribe. And click on the Patreon link, and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. And definitely want to thank everybody who has subscribed to Converge Media. We appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Is we really are used to laugh when you see public Channel 9 and public broadcasts. We're like, man, we're supported by the public and your donations. Man, we really are. And so we appreciate it. if you subscribe, challenge your friend to subscribe. You know, you can go to where we converge.com/donate. Come on board for as little as $5 a month. We really appreciate it. I think that the public sees it like, man, we're really putting every single dollar into creating a product and, you know, every day to inform our community.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important. So many people now are understanding the importance of community media and really being connected on the ground. And I think that now, look, I mean, Joyce Taylor, you got all the, you know, you got a lot of different accolades. I think there's another one you got for us, you know, a little surprise in the show.
Yeah, well, you know, so MOHI, the Museum of History and Industry, they honored everyday heroes. This was last week on Friday. And they gave a special recognition to, and I like how you'll see here in the introduction, they introduced it, and the host introduced it as Converge Media and Omari Salisbury. And I think that that's the most appropriate way, is because we always like to say teamwork makes the dream work, and you got to consistently look out the window to give credit. You got to look in the mirror to take responsibility, and all the credit, like Converge Media, definitely belongs to this incredible staff of people who've committed themselves to what we're trying to do here. And a lot of quite a few of our people here, they were, you know, it's me who's on tape, but you know, I mean, a lot of those nights. One, I was never alone, but a lot of those nights was Eric Calligraphy, Bobby Stills, Jake Grabbright. I mean, there's real dangerous situations out there. Bobby you saw on film every once in a while because he's Bobby Stills, but you know, I mean, people like Eric, people like Jake out there in the field, and then back in the office where you have Nikki and Jordan and Alia and you know, so many other people, production people, Carlos Imani, Daryl Glover, Dancing in the Rain. You know, you've consistently been there, and so. I'll play the short clip here from MOHI, but just know that, you know, like I said, they got it right when they said that they're honoring Converge Media and Omari Salisbury, and not just me, because, man, I just got some real great people on the team.
Our first Everyday Hero honoree is Converge Media and Omari Salisbury for his long-standing coverage of Seattle's Central District and reporting on the CHOP, George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests, and more. Omari Salisbury is fully committed, driven, and open with his opinions. He loves lifting Black history, and his passion is fueled by a love for family and community. My friends, take a look at our first honoree.
Hey, my name is Omari Salisbury. I'm the founder of Converge Media. We create culturally relevant content for Seattle's Black and urban community. The last 8 months, I'll be honest with you, we've been real busy. Early on this year, we launched the Morning Update Show every Monday through Friday from 11 to 12. We launched it back in March so we could give people in our community curated information about COVID and the best information possible. If you remember early on, information about COVID, it was so much, it was like drinking out of a fire hydrant. So we launched the Morning Update Show really to make sure, especially the elders in our community in the Central District and the South and the Seattle, had the best possible information. From there, we rolled into the protests. May 29th, that Friday, actually, we were out there covering the protest, and really we never stopped. From the Western Barricade to Chaz to CHOP, the current protests that are still going on, but also City Hall and the mayor's office and county executives and community leaders and everything else in between. I think that Converge has played a role in fostering communication between all different types of parties and factions that are out there, but also giving the citizens of Seattle a ground level view of what's going on and really trying to talk to as many voices out there as possible so people can formulate their own opinion. It doesn't always have to be far left or far right. Maybe we can get all the information and make our own opinions about things. For me, ever optimistic, that's just my nature. So every day I wake up optimistic and ready to face the day. And I'm hopeful that here in Seattle, our beloved Emerald City, that citizen stakeholders will continue to just dig a little bit deeper, and let's see how we can work together to have the Emerald City that we all deserve.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Omari, for your inspiring work in our community. I'm watching the chat. I love Enrique saying Omari gives hope for what true journalism can and should be. We really thank you for all that you're doing.
Man, so that thanks really goes to our team, and it's real humbling. It's a lot of attention and everything else, but I mean the best thing I could say is that we're all well grounded over here.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that it's great that Mohai was able to recognize you and Converge. I think, again, we've seen the importance of platforms just like Converge and how important it is for the people to be informed about what's really happening on the ground. And also the long story format, getting folks like Kevin Schofield from SEC Insight, being able to sit down with the OPA, president and actually understand a little bit about his perspective. I mean, these are people that we would never hear from in our community. And so Converge is really leading the charge in that regard. Man, kudos to you and Converge. I'm happy to be part of the team.
Man, definitely. And Friday was a big day for us because Como 4, they ran a bunch of vignettes, small segments throughout the day, and then at 11 o'clock they aired a segment which we'll play here. And then I talked to Como for an hour and a half, and they put the whole interview up on their website. I'll be honest with you, man, I was nervous from the moment that they stopped rolling that interview. I was just nervous because rarely ever talk to anybody that long if it's not about exact news or what happened. Like, hey, Omar, you're on Capitol Hill. What just happened? Man, rarely ever talk to anybody. And right now, it's this media. It's a lot of tension in the city around the different media and media platforms and how people on the street view platforms and everything else. But I gotta say that, Como, they hit it. This is the segment that aired at the 11 o'clock news on Friday.
I'm grabbing the umbrella. There's the spray. There's the spray. There's the spray. It's on now. It's on. These precincts, they're losing control.
For weeks, he gave the world a front row seat to the Seattle protests. Armed with a simple red cell phone and a continuous, unfiltered live stream, Omari Salisbury captured nearly every moment inside the CHOP zone.
And now, more than 5 months after the protests first began, Salisbury sat down for a one-on-one interview with Como's Ryan Yamamoto to reflect on recording history and witnessing tragedy.
He also shares the moments you didn't see on his live stream.
It says it's showtime. I guess it's time to start the show.
Inside an old brick building in Pioneer Square, you'll find Omari Salisbury broadcasting his morning show.
We were created to uplift Black media.
With the Seattle protests, including the tool he used to capture history.
Look at this drawing that they did. This is fire, right?
Remains the topic of the day.
They got the red phone up there and everything. Like what? The gas mask, all of that.
Just with that phone, he began live streaming the protests from the burning of Westlake to the height of tensions on Capitol Hill, known as the Pink Umbrella Incident.
I remember the bicycle officers got tapped out.
We have a definite change in posture.
Officers who had on gas masks. And I was like, man, this tear gas is coming.
So we see him grabbing the umbrella. There's the spray. There's the spray. There's the spray. It's on now.
I got hit in the eye on the mace, and then all you hear now is flashbangs. Boom, 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 boom. From that day, though, it went from being a regular protest to something very, very different.
That's when Omari also realized people were watching his feed.
I had like 114 followers on Twitter. And by June 1st, I had like 7,000 or 8,000. Now I've got like over 30,000.
Followers watching his live unfiltered streams from the police abandoning the East Precinct to the formation and teardown of CHOP. Omari stayed the entire time.
For over a month, I don't think I ever left like a 6-block area.
But it's what the world didn't see when his live stream was turned off that maybe impacts Omari the most. On the morning of July 4th, 2 protesters, Summer Taylor and Diaz Love, were hit by a man who drove onto the closed interstate. Summer Taylor died. Omari watched it happen.
I can tell you on the freeway, I was just in shock. And that was the one time that I was so glad. Something told me that night not to live stream.
Or the time the Seattle PD asked him to help locate a potential rape victim at Cal Anderson Park.
We run over there to Cal Anderson Park, and we're looking for this woman. And we're looking for her, and we're looking for her. but we didn't find her. You know, I think it still sits with us all, you know, real heavy. And for me, I haven't unpacked all this yet, and now I'm back. Voila, the magic of TV.
For Omari and Converge, the coverage continues on whether the protest will affect lasting change. But today, most of his live streams now come from the studio. The red phone may be close to retirement.
They call it the Red Revolution now, but this is supposed to be going into Mohai.
A tool used to document history, now a piece of it. In Seattle, Ryan Yamamoto, Como News.
Our interview with Omari lasted nearly an hour and a half. We've posted more videos from the conversation on our website, comonews.com. We talk about how the East Precinct became the focal point of the protest, tragedy inside CHOP, his thoughts about city leadership, and that red cell phone, which Mohai did confirm they consider an important object and would like to see it preserved.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, like I said, I think that Ryan Yamamoto and Eric Jensen from Como, they did a really good job. I would encourage people go over there to Como News website. You can check out the full interview there. It was emotional, to be honest with you. And that's another reason why I don't really do a lot of interviews, man, because it's always pulling off these scars. You know what I'm saying? Pulling off these Band-Aids. But I think that it was important. Once they said that they would air, you know, have the full interview there, then I'm like, okay, because you normally like to do all the smaller stuff. But anyways, I'm rambling on. Just real thankful, Trey Holiday, to these incredible people that I get to work with.
You know what? We love you, and we know that, you know, honestly, again, and when I talk about, you know, Converge, it really is a family, and it started that way. You've carried that through, and honestly, it warms my heart. It warms my heart that Como was able to recognize how important your story was, and that they did give you that full hour and a half, that they didn't just try to get those sound bites that were needed for their story, that they gave a full in-depth interview into who you are, how you've built Converge, who Converge is, and why you were on the ground. So my heart goes out to you. Oh, great work, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, people should know that, you know, man, I never even wanted to be out in front of anything. Even this morning update show, I was like, man, I don't want to be on camera. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted to be the face of anything. I just wanted to sit back and empower other people through media. And so it's a unique situation that I find myself literally here every day in front of the camera and out there and everything else. But I just can't acknowledge enough the very talented and amazing people, and a lot of these people. When I'm saying what I witnessed, there's other people that were there with me, and we've gone through a lot. And I'm just thankful to them. Also thankful to you, my co-host with the most.
Oh man, thank you, man. What a beautiful way to start our week, my friend. I'm loving this, and I love what your mom said. A banner day, Omari. I agree.
Hey, look, I think it's a good way to get out of here too. So, you know, it's Monday tomorrow. We got Fire Chief Scoggins. We also got Marcus and Jessica Trufant talking about their new podcast, Truly Unruly. You know, lots of news, and we're going to check in with the Office of Neighborhoods with Andreas over there about what's going on in the International District, what they're calling disaster gentrification. So I'll reach out to them right now. Any other notes before we get out of here, Trey?
Nothing for me, man. Make it a great Monday, y'all.
Make it a great Monday. God bless you. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.